What's up guys, back in today with another reaction to In the Clear Moonlit Dusk, this time with episode 6. It was another decent episode last week. I do feel like it's kind of stagnated a bit over the last couple of weeks, can't lie to you guys. But, God that's loud. But we have had a new prince introduced, and he's going to be working with our main character here at the, what's it called? Curry place. But yeah, as I said, I was quite impressed initially with the show, but it has kind of dwindled a little bit, I would say. Especially when we've got so many good kind of romance shows airing this season. Still going to be giving it some time, of course. Probably will end up finishing it because I do enjoy this, but it's just like, yeah, I don't find myself quite as attached to this. Maybe not as relatable. Maybe. I feel you're probably on the right tracks. I think it's one of those unfortunate things. It's inevitable that this new Prince guy is going to be. Oh, Jesus Christ. What is that called? What does that move? Um, but yeah, it's just like. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I imagine I'm not. Um, this is the character that's introduced to pose a threat to get the main characters kind of a bit more on board with each other. And again, I hope I'm wrong, but inevitably it will just be like pretty cookie cutter in terms of there was a maybe a moment between them, but they end up realizing that they do like each other, and the promise of things to come will be even more promising. Yeah, it will stay at the same kind of quite slow pace. Is what I'm gonna guess. Happens quite often. But maybe that's just me dooming. But as I keep saying, like there's not too much like separate this. Is maybe what I'm trying to say. Like even like what I just said there, it's like predictable. There isn't too much to separate so far. I mean, it's got a different kind of premise with them being like prince like or whatever, but at the end of the day, under the hood, it's not all that too dissimilar to your kind of average romance. And not that it has to be. I think the fragrant flower blossoms with dignity is a pretty decent example of how that was also very standard, but they'd done the elements quite well overall, so it ended up like standing out because it done the pretty simple stuff well. I don't know. I guess I find the ones with like a more interesting, different kind of premise, a bit more interesting. Like I said, like the Invisible Man and his soon-to-be wife, like that's got a really cool, interesting premise, and I'm really enjoying that. You and I are polar opposites. It's not a kind of crazy different kind of formula, but that's one of my favorite anime era in the season in general. Maybe my favorite. No, it's a strong season. It's got Golden Kamuy and Freeran and so on. But yeah, I got to imagine. I eat curry every so often, but I've got to imagine it probably gets a bit boring after a little while, right? Well, they're our favourite. They're our favourite. We don't really have a similar thing, I guess, in the UK. I guess it would be like a prom dress or something. For sure, the equivalent would kind of be wedding dress, but they have obviously weddings in Japan, so can't really say that. Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I said this last week that those yukas take sometimes hours for girls to put on, like fold properly, and like there's a whole like ordeal in doing that. So that's always really appreciated. Funny enough, though, like guys really appreciate that, but I feel like girls probably appreciate it even more because us guys, like, we do, like, just get ready in like 5 or 10 minutes. So yeah, oh, wouldn't you like to know? Are you interested in going? I mean, you only just met her. Literally just met her. They did seem to get along quite well though. Last episode, didn't they? In the short kind of time they spent together. Good timing. Good timing. But as I said earlier, I feel like maybe the last like 5, 6 romance anime I've watched on my channel over the last seasons have had this same kind of premise of like threat gets introduced, scenes like this happen, and yes, a bit predictable. It's not a like there's stuff like that that I do really enjoy, like cliches that I do really enjoy and stuff. I wouldn't say this is one of them. Like I said, it's just like, yeah. I feel like the manga Nana done a really good job at something similar with Nana Komatsu, Takumi, and Shin, I think his name is, although in a while. Nobu, that's the one. Nobuo. There's a really cool kind of dynamic, which, yeah, I can't expect that to be replicated, but yeah, that's an example of this kind of thing that I do really enjoy. So yeah, depends how it's done. He's making me. Dad's saying that. That's a good sign, isn't it? Your dad blush. Get away from her, you bitch. Well, how did something get there? Don't you dare eat that. Oh. Oh. Suppose that didn't break. Bloody hell. Anything else gonna happen in this fucking environment right here? This is hostile, bro. This is hostile environment. At least he didn't eat the passy or whatever they fucking called it. He's throwing a bit of a kiddie tantrum here, isn't he? I get where he's coming from. I've done similar when I was younger. But yeah, I mean, if he would have like ate that, That would have sent me. Fuck knows what he would have done. Something I might have done just to spite someone though. As petty as that sounds. Make sure he's watching. How are you gonna admit it? Act like a little kid, bro. Kind of endearing though in a way. I don't think women see it that way too much. They can, don't get me wrong. But in my experience, it's always been a bit of a negative. From my position, it was like the right thing. Yeah, yeah. I don't get too far into it because I've mentioned it before a few times on my channel. Wow, what situation you're in? Two princes. You've got two princes interested in you. I don't know how you'd feel in that position. You seem to attract those that are very similar type to you and nobody else. Not even really sure what point I'm trying to make here by saying that, but yeah. It'd be pretty strange, wouldn't it? The only people I seem to be able to have relationships are people that are prince-like. At that point, maybe you'd go some foreign country and just like go scouting for super rich princes, like actual princes. Oh, considering the glass a minute ago, that won't break. Good reactions. What is he gonna do though? Because he can't keep coming here like every day, like keeping track of her and like keeping track of these two, what they get up to. Eventually, he's just gonna have to be like, yeah, you know what? I trust her enough, and so on. That you don't have to come here acting like a spoiled kid. It's almost like a bit like a dog or like a wild animal. What he done here? Came here, tried to like have a piss, leave his mark, have his smell linger. Just a little cold. But yeah, something like that. If you know what I'm saying, like bear marking their territory and stuff. Itchy the killer. Besides the point, but the cover for that movie is very lies to you a little bit. But he, perfect prince, gets jealous sometimes. He's a human being, guys. Again, I think it's quite big of him to admit it like that. I feel like a lot of people, probably myself included, would just be trying to like play it off a little bit. What was that, bro? What, that fucking sucked. That was terrible. I'm not really too much of a. I'm not even gonna, it's a romance show. I shouldn't complain, but this just reminds me of terrible horror movies where they just have loud sound effects to scare you. There's like I was also kind of wondering about what's going on with her hands here. Look a bit funky, don't they? Look a bit big, but I guess they're normal. I was like, is the anatomy all okay there? I mean, I guess so, but they are quite manly hands. Something stood out to me about those grippers. Yeah, it's just lazy. This was, but yeah. As I said, it's just this sends me back to the dark days of. I think it was like the mid to late kind of 2000s where we just got a bunch of shit horror movies that done this. Like I said, just like loud sound, jump scare. It's just like shut. Yeah, I'm just like so many, just immune to them nowadays. It's cheap. Yeah, those hands look a bit crazy. Nice outfit she's got on there. Pretty cool. But I appreciate this girl went to the length of dyeing her eyebrows as well. That's a way to describe it. It's shifty. The Prince Fox. The Foxy Prince. I can understand being annoyed at that. Is that the right advice? I feel like you should be saying the opposite. Excuse me? That was terrible advice. Who cares if it's just about looks? Well, if you're thinking about actually having a decent relationship, you hope it'd be about more than that. I've had relationships just purely based off that, and they've never been great. I mean, to be fair, I don't know from their perspective. They might have. I mean, probably wouldn't. They might not for that. Probably not. I'm not the greatest looking person ever, but from my perspective, I entered because of that, and like I said, never actually gone that well. Rule number one of having siblings: don't really take their advice. Stuff like this. I mean, to be fair, when she said that, I'd like to go back because I can't really remember every moment that he had like compliment her and such. But surely it wasn't all about her looks, right? An incident. An incident. She was so handsome. Why are these guys so brazen to be talking about someone you just spoke to like that? you guys ever, you guys ever experience that? These people start talking about you behind your back as soon as you stop talking to them. Fuck. We fell the first time we've fallen up the stairs. Man, this is gonna sound so weird, but aren't those steps like super nostalgic? I swear I had very different color, but like very similar. style steps in my high school. Yes. Yes, please. But they never really like talk about. I mean, I said that earlier about the whole like looks thing. I really had like too much of a deep conversation with these two. To be fair, have we? Reasonably surface level so far. So I guess I kind of get what she was saying earlier in that regard. But like small talk and yeah. I said that because I don't remember him actually bringing up her looks too much. I mean, obviously he finds her attractive, and he's mentioned it a couple of times, but it's not like every time. Oh, that doesn't sound as bad as I would thought that word would sound in Japanese. From a Japanese person, should I say? Of course. Like I said, in these next few episodes, we could expect this a lot. A lot of interruption, a lot of. Yeah. The real question will be, will this guy be able to stand out as his own character rather than just part of the plot? So far, no. I mean, I don't. He probably does, but I don't think there's been anything outright to say that, especially from his perspective. I think he's just putting himself in his shoes. True. Yeah. What do you say to that? Get a bit mad, bruh. Calm down. That's a good. Again, it's kind of a good sign. But yeah, like, what do you say? You say thanks. You don't really appreciate it, so you don't really want to say thanks. So yeah, a bit hard from both their perspectives. But like I said, it's a good sign because it shows that at the very least he cares quite a bit about her. But yeah, decent episode. Again, not just yeah, just again, just doesn't feel like not every romance and such has got to be like really progressive and something massive happen every episode, but it does feel like this show is just like it's not moving as fast as maybe I'd like. It's like that could be okay if I knew there was going to be like 24 or 30 episodes. But I'm assuming this is like a 12 episode show, and we're halfway through. Do you guys know how many romance anime get season two? Probably not a lot. Probably not a lot. But I'm not sure actually. A lot of my favourite ones have, so. But yeah, otherwise, it was a decent episode. Like I said, it just didn't really feel like too much happened until that end sequence there. There was the whole. You could pretty much. You didn't even have to watch like 8/10 of this episode. You could have just assumed what happened. But that last scene was pretty cool. As I said, we had pretty like surface level talks and such so far, so it's nice to them actually like have a bit of an emotional kind of response to each other there. Like the emotions just kind of talking rather than just talking about these like random wizard shit. a siesta. And I remember learning what siesta meant. I think I was like 14, like later on in my life. I always thought, oh, that sounds like a Spanish word for like dancing or something exotic, and I think it's like a nap or something. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, decent episode. Nothing crazy here, as it's been the last few weeks, to be honest with you. Again, you could have just like guessed what happened for 80% of this episode, and you'd have been spot on. And I kind of did a little bit earlier on in the episode. And again, I can probably expect at least one more episode of that. However, like I said, it did actually lead to quite an interesting kind of conversation at the end here, which I hope we get a bit more focus on as we move on to next week. But yeah, just another decent episode. As I said, I'll be sticking around with this show because it's not like bad, but it's just not like great either. Like I said, it's hard when you're comparing it to some top quality shows that are airing this season. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments though. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you guys did enjoy this one, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date. And I'll catch you guys next week with episode 7.